This is a walk-around tour of my motorcycle. I realize this will be of no interest to anyone but me, but my primary concern is to learn to use the new camcorder that I got yesterday, so this is a chance to do it. The motorcycle is a 2010 BMW R1200R. And I'll go all around it, but first let me say a little bit about BMW motorcycles in general. BMW has actually been making motorcycles since 1923, even before they began making cars. BMW began as a aircraft manufacturing company in World War I, but following World War I, Germany was prohibited from making aircraft. So BMW, like some other companies, had to find a way to use their engineers, their mechanics, their plant, and so they turned to ground transportation. In the 1960s and 70s, when Japanese motorcycles began taking over sort of the basic transportation part of the market, European and American motorcycle manufacturers had to kind of find a niche where they fit into this. It's kind of interesting to me that BMW and Harley went in exact opposite directions on this. Harley really decided to concentrate on the look, the sound, the feel of the bike. Everything about them is designed around a particular look. If you go to their webpage and look at the specific models and click on the key features of each bike, everything listed there will be something about the looks. BMW went the other way. They developed bikes that almost had a disregard, even a disdain for looks. I think you can make a case that they may be among the ugliest motorcycles. What they really concentrated on was technology. And their particular niche became long-distance riders, touring riders, and adventure riders. Now they do make some sports bikes. In fact, they make one of the hottest ones out there now. But generally, they're aiming at people that really ride long distances. If you look at motorcycle ads in magazines, every time you see a Harley, it looks like it just came off the showroom floor, perfectly polished. If you look at the BMWs in the ads, very often they look like they were just ridden across Africa, covered with mud and everything like that. And I mean, that really is deliberate. This particular motorcycle I bought in July of 2010, about 10 months ago. It was my second motorcycle. It replaced another BMW that I bought when I was first learning. This particular one would have been too much bike for me when I was first starting. But after riding for a couple of years, I really knew exactly what I wanted and had the skills to ride pretty much anything. So I concentrated on this particular bike. Let me just make a couple of points about it. First of all, this is has what's called the Boxer engine. Okay, the Boxer refers to a two-cylinder, horizontally opposed engine that was air-cooled from 1923 when BMW first began making up until the 1980s. Now it's air and oil-cooled. The benchmark of these bikes, you can recognize them from a long ways away because the two cylinders stick out of the side. It's called a Boxer because if you could see inside it, it would actually look like the pistons were boxing with each other as it was running. BMW now makes a number of water-cooled engines as well. It makes a 1, a 2, a 4, and a 6 cylinder. But this two-cylinder Boxer engine is the real traditional BMW. It still remains their best seller. And it's a direct line of something they've been making since 1923, although, of course, it's very technologically advanced now. It's a 1200cc engine that puts out about 109 horsepower. Now, BMW makes several bikes with this particular motor. They make something called the R1200RT, which is their touring bike, the R1200GS, which is their dual sport or adventure bike made to ride on and off-road. That's actually a kind of a rugged bike that's their best seller. This R1200R is what they call their urban bike or roadster. By urban, they mean that it's a bike that kind of leans toward the sporty side. It's light, agile, but unlike a regular sports bike where the rider is kind of scrunched up in an aerodynamic position that emulates racing, this has a much more upright riding position as someone would want to use if they rode in the city. This turned out to be a good bike for me because I do a lot of sporty riding over the mountains, twisty roads on the weekends. I occasionally ride into Washington, D.C. and things like that. So I didn't want a big touring bike, but I did want something that would be both sporty and comfortable. The thing is, I also like to do some long distance stuff. I do some errand running and things like that. So when I bought this particular bike, rather than getting the stock R1200R, I got what was called a touring package. That added these very large side bags, a luggage rack, a few other things like heated hand grips, and an onboard computer. And then I also made some changes to it to make it even better for long distance riding. One thing I did was to add the windscreen that you see here, which is an aftermarket windshield made by a company called Z-Technic to give me some protection from the wind and weather. I added an aftermarket seat, the stock sport seat. It got pretty uncomfortable after an hour or two, so I got an aftermarket seat from BMW, what they call their comfort seat, that's made in Italy, that's much more comfortable for long distance riding. And then I also added the satellite navigation, the GPS, absolutely vital feature for me, because what I like more than anything else on weekends is to go out and do rides ranging from 200 to 450 miles through the most isolated places I can find, state forests, mountain crossings, and I really like to try to add some new stretch that I've never ridden before, new towns I've never seen, to almost every ride. So what I can do with this is I design my routes on the computer and then upload them to the GPS. So by combining the standard Roadster with the touring package, what I've done is I've got a bike that's really a jack of all trades. It's good for city riding, it's good for daily commuting, it's good for errands, but yet it's also something that I can ride 8-10 hours a day, or even take on longer trips. The body is what in motorcycle parlance is called a naked, meaning that it doesn't have a plastic fairing that covers all of the parts, but it kind of revels in the engine itself, the mechanical parts as part of the engineering. One thing that this motorcycle has that my previous one didn't, that I really wanted when I got a new one, is it has anti-lock brakes, because I had a bad habit of locking up the rear wheel when I was braking hard under emergency conditions. I did that 5 or 10 times and actually fishtailed. This one has, because it has anti-lock brakes, the stopping power is absolutely amazing. I mean, I've taken the safety course a couple of times where you ride with coaches and you have to do fast stops, among other things. I mean, I'm just absolutely able to stop on a dime with this. In fact, it was kind of funny the last time I took it. It was raining, so the only other rider in the course was in a big full-scale Harley. He was just really struggling to stop in the prescribed distance. I was able to stop just absolutely on a dime on it with these particular brakes. Good brakes are a trademark of BMWs, both their motorcycles and their cars, in large part because they're made to ride on the German Autobahn with unlimited speed limits in some places. So if you're going 100, 120 miles an hour, you certainly want good brakes. In general, the design of this bike, as you can see, is really absolutely geared toward performance. I mean, there's nothing frilly about it, other than maybe a little bit of chrome on the muffler. Like most German bikes, it has a very quiet muffler. Has good performance. Like most European motorcycles, it's relatively high. A lot of American motorcycles, Harleys and Victorys, tend to ride fairly low to the ground. That does make them easy to get on and off of. But since you steer a motorcycle by leaning, a low bike can't lean as far as a high one like this. It means that it can't turn as much. Again, when I took the safety course with the other guy on a Harley, he was really struggling at times to do the kind of figure eights and S turns and stuff like that in the course. I just was absolutely turning inside of him on this. It really is a nice handling bike. At 109 horsepower and about 550 pounds, it's not a ridiculously fast bike that you have to worry about constantly pulling an inadvertent wheelie, but there's certainly been all of the power that I need, and I will admit, gotten it to triple digits. All in all, have about 15,000 miles on the bike now, in about 10 months, and it remains my favorite material possession I've ever had in my life.